What's up, guys? This is Zach with KT Outdoors. Hey, I got a quick one for you today. I want to do this really quick for you, but I made a mistake and I want to help you not make the same one. If you want to know what I did that's wrong, it's coming up next. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. This is Zach with KT Outdoors, and here we like to teach you how to grow your own food by growing the soil that ultimately feeds your body and your soul, all while saving your family money in the process. Now, here's the deal. Specifically, this we're going to save you money thing that I like to talk about. Like, it's time to start seeds. Like, look at this. Look at what I got going, right? Like, I got 5 trays there. I got 6 trays in the house growing under the grow lights. I got these 4 back here behind me ready to go. I was doing some figuring today. Like, I could have 20 plus seedling trays in this greenhouse space once the weather warms up enough. I got to be careful because like last night it was 20 degrees in here, and these 4 trays behind me, thank goodness they didn't have any seeds in them. They were frozen solid when I came out this morning. So we're right on the edge of things being okay, unless I have supplemental heat sources, which I've got going on here with some grow mats and a heat lamp and some other things to just try to keep that soil from freezing. But that's not the point of today's video. We'll talk more about those later. For now, I want to talk to you about this stuff right here. Okay, seed starting mix. You're going to be starting some seedlings and you're going to think, well, I need to go get some seed starting mix, which is true. You need some seed starting mix in order to start seedlings in. But here's what you may not know. This is a ripoff. Okay, now I'm going to tell you why. Let's look at the ingredients. I'm on the back here. I'm looking. Where is the ingredients list? They don't even put it on here anymore. Holy cow. Well, I wouldn't put it on here either if I were them, because I know what's in here and you're about to know too. I thought it was on here. Yep, nope, totally not. Well, here's the deal. It's really 2 simple ingredients. 90% at least. 90% of which is one thing. And that's that right down there. Peat moss. So I'm going to drop down here and we're going to take a look at this and do some cost comparisons. Okay, I'm going to read you this genius piece of marketing that makes you feel like there's something special going on here. The best seed starting mixes start with the most beneficial ingredients. It's that simple. We start with peat moss, an all-natural resource free of weeds and pollutants. Peat moss is a preferred choice of professional growers and horticulturalists, blah, 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 blah. Retains up to 20% of its weight in water. We then add vermiculite, a mineral that further supports water and nutrient retention and aerates the soil. And the final key ingredient, coconut coir, is upcycled husk from coconuts. Harvested, blah, 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 aids drainage. By their own admission, those are the only things that are in this mixture. I had to find this old bag from last season where they actually listed what's in these things, because what I'm telling you today is right. You don't need to buy it in the bag. Mix it yourself. Okay, so I've dropped down here lower so that you can see the only 2 things you need to make seed starting mix. This is all that you need. Okay, I opened these and honestly, 90% of what was in here, at least 90%, if not more, was honestly that stuff right there. Okay, so this is 13.2 liters. It's 12 dry quarts of this seed starting mix. It was, I think, like $5, right? Like, so you see it and you're like, oh, $5, I'll grab that really quick. Yeah, but see this right here, which is 3 cubic feet compressed, really tightly packed in here. Like, this is heavy, heavy, heavy to pick up, especially if it's a little bit damp. Like, this was $10. That's it, $10. So this tiny little bag with only 12 dry quarts, $5. Massive, huge bale, $10. They are literally the same exact thing. Okay, now normally I would say that what's in there that's not in this is this stuff right here, which is vermiculite. Okay, you can get this huge bag of vermiculite for only 20 bucks. When I opened these and dumped them in yesterday, there was literally so little vermiculite that I ended up adding more of my own vermiculite anyhow, even though this should already have it, in my opinion. So do not buy seed starting mix at $5 a bag for 12 quarts. Get 3 cubic feet of compressed peat moss and a bag of vermiculite, which is going to be the most expensive part of the whole thing is the vermiculite, but you will use tons of it, or you won't use very much of it, so you'll get tons of use out of this bag. Probably there's enough in this bag to do at least 2 of these, if not 3, because you really don't need very much of this, especially based on what, like if you buy this and use this, like literally I would use this with like 10 bags of that to get what I got out of this. Like they're hardly putting any of this in here because this is expensive. This is 20 bucks. This is 5. So don't do that, right? Like just get those 2 things and be off to the races. Now, the other thing that you can use, which I have an old one here that I haven't used yet, is you can get some of this, which they're calling expanding soil. This is 100% coco coir. See it right there in the corner? 100% coco coir. Okay, this is basically peat moss. Now this says that it expands to 2.5 cubic feet. So this little tiny brick right here is almost as much as that thing right there. Okay, so if you can find these things, they are a great resource to have. I honestly, when I find them, they disappear so fast. I found some small ones at Home Depot, and by the time I went back to get them, they were already sold out. So that's another option is coco coir. But literally, peat moss over the coco coir, put some vermiculite with it, maybe 10 to 1, 10 to 2. You see how that looks if you like it. Like I like mine to look about like this. This is what I did to it after yesterday. Okay, I'll turn the camera around so you can kind of see up close what this mix looks like. Okay, so here dry-ish you can kind of see about what the ratio is, but like literally there's not very much vermiculite in that at all. And even when it's wet, like you can see, but like see all that beautiful kind of white little pockets of vermiculite in there? That was not in the bag. Like this is literally that Jiffy soil that I dumped out, and I had to put in like cup after cup after cup of extra vermiculite in order to make it look like this, which is how I think it should look personally. So don't buy it in the bag already mixed. It's just such a waste of money. And I'm guilty as charged. I did it. I bought 2 bags early this year because I was in the store and it was there and I was like, oh, I need that. No, I needed to go buy peat moss for 10 bucks and use the vermiculite that I already had here, and I would have had like literally 10 times as much seed starting mix as I got in those little bags for 10 bucks. So don't make the mistake I did. Make it yourself. It's not hard. The other thing that you can do with this is this last little tip before we let you go today is if you need to pot some things up, right? Like you want to plant some plants in a 5-gallon bucket, or you have some raised garden beds that you need to fill with soil or something like that, right? Like especially top dressing those raised beds. I wouldn't fill an entire raised bed with what I'm about to say, but I do fill my pots with it. So any sort of larger size pot, you don't want to grow in just this because there's 0 fertility. It's just peat moss and coco coir. Great for starting seeds. Peat moss or coco coir and vermiculite. See how interchangeable they are? They just fall out of my mouth together because they're like the same basic thing, at least as far as seed starting mixes go. There's no fertility here though. So when a seedling is first starting, it doesn't need fertility. Everything it needs is in that seed. It's like this little stored up pool of resources that allows it to take off and get growing. Now, once it gets growing, it needs resources. With our seedlings, we can hit those with just a little bit of fertilizer, really dilute, after some of the first true leaves have started to form. And that will allow them to keep growing in essentially what is a nutrient neutral, sterile environment. Like there's no nutrition in peat moss or coco coir, and certainly not in the vermiculite either. It's just puffed rock. So there's hardly anything in there. If you want to grow something out, what you add to this mixture is simply compost. Okay, so if you have your own compost, or if you are purchasing compost from a municipal compost source, that will work. Even if you go buy something like composted manure or compost in bags, like just bagged compost from the garden supply centers, that would work too. I would recommend making my own. It's so easy to make compost. I'll post a video up here on how you can do it. It's not hard. Like you literally pile things up, keep it wet, turn it a couple times, and you get compost. You mix that with that, and now you have the perfect plant medium for planting in your pots, growing things out, etc., etc., etc. You can add in a little bit of perlite to this, which is even cheaper than the vermiculite. And those three things together, that mixture with some perlite and some compost, will make completely adequate and awesome potting soil for you to pot up anything that you might want to be growing outside and so forth. So there you go. Save some money. Do it yourself. It's not hard. You can do it. Trust me. That's all I got for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. And remember, get outside because life's better when it's lived outdoors. We'll see you in the next one.